God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. C.S. Lewis. Have you ever felt pain so sharp, so consuming, that it made you question everything? The death of a loved one, a devastating diagnosis, the sting of betrayal. In these moments of profound suffering, we often find ourselves grappling with more than just the pain itself. We wrestle with doubt, anger, and even our faith. We cry out, "Where is God in this?" C.S. Lewis, the celebrated author of the Chronicles of Narnia, knew this struggle intimately. His life was marked by both profound joy and deep sorrow. But it was in the crucible of his own suffering that Lewis discovered a profound truth. Pain, Lewis argued, is not an anomaly in the Christian life. It's not a sign that God has abandoned us. Instead, it's a language, a powerful, often unsettling language that God uses to get our attention. In his writings, Lewis invites us to reframe our understanding of pain, to see it not as an enemy to be feared, but as a potential catalyst for growth, for transformation, for drawing closer to God. When pain hits us, it can feel like running into a brick wall. The impact is sudden, jarring, and leaves us reeling, unsure of how to move forward. Our first instinct is often to turn away from the pain. We want to escape, to find a way out, to avoid the discomfort at all costs, to numb it, deny it, or bargain with God to take it away. We seek distractions, temporary relief, anything to make the pain less intense. We may question God's goodness, his love, even his existence. In our darkest moments, we wonder why a loving God would allow us to suffer so deeply. Doubt creeps in like a shadow, whispering that if God truly cared, we wouldn't be hurting like this. It tells us that our pain is evidence of his absence. This struggle is not a sign of weakness, but a deeply human response to suffering. It is a testament to our vulnerability and our need for understanding and compassion. We long for comfort, for ease, for a world free from pain. We dream of a life where suffering is a distant memory and joy is our constant companion. But what if, as Lewis suggests, pain serves a purpose? What if it is a tool, a means through which we grow, learn, and ultimately draw closer to the divine? What if it's not something to be avoided at all costs, but a path, however difficult, that leads us closer to God? Perhaps in our suffering, we find a deeper connection, a more profound faith, and a greater understanding of his love. To understand Lewis's perspective, we must first acknowledge the reality of our broken world. From the moment sin entered the world, suffering became an unavoidable part of the human experience. We see it everywhere, in natural disasters, in disease, in the depths of human cruelty. Pain, in a sense, is the echo of a world that has strayed from its creator. Yet, even in this brokenness, God is present. He doesn't stand aloof from our pain, but enters into it, experiencing it alongside us. This is the heart of the Christian message, a God who so loved the world that he was willing to enter into its suffering, to become intimately acquainted with our pain. Lewis uses a powerful metaphor to describe pain. He calls it God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Think about that for a moment. In the hustle and bustle of life, we can easily become deaf to God's whispers. We get caught up in our plans, our desires, our own version of how life should be. But pain has a way of shattering our illusions. It strips away the superficial and forces us to confront the deeper questions of life. It's in those raw, vulnerable moments when we're stripped bare of our defenses that we're most open to hearing God's voice. Lewis also compares suffering to a refining fire. Just as a silversmith uses heat to purify silver, so God uses pain to purify our hearts. Suffering has a way of burning away the impurities in our lives, our pride, our selfishness, our misplaced priorities. It reveals what truly matters and draws us closer to the one who can provide lasting comfort and strength. This process is rarely easy or pleasant. It can feel like being broken down, stripped bare. Yet, as Lewis reminds us, it's often in the breaking that we discover our true strength. One of the most profound effects of pain is that it can drive us to a deeper dependence on God. When we face situations beyond our control, when our own strength fails us, we're forced to acknowledge our need for something greater than ourselves. It's in these moments of utter dependence that we experience the reality of God's presence in a new and powerful way. We discover that He is not a distant deity, but a loving Father who walks with us through our pain, offering comfort, strength, and guidance. This dependence, born out of suffering, can lead to a level of intimacy with God that we might not otherwise experience. It's in our weakness, Lewis suggests, that God's strength is made perfect. Few experiences reveal the depths of human suffering like the loss of a loved one. For C.S. Lewis, this agonizing reality pierced his own life in a way he never anticipated. After years of bachelorhood, Lewis found an unexpected joy in his marriage to Joy Davidman, an American poet. Their love story, as many know, was as beautiful as it was brief. Joy was diagnosed with terminal cancer, casting a shadow over their newfound happiness. Lewis, the great theologian, the master of words, suddenly found himself grappling with a pain that threatened to consume him. Joy's death in 1960 shattered Lewis. The man who had written so eloquently about God's love, about the hope of heaven, was left reeling in grief, questioning everything he thought he knew. In his raw and honest memoir, A Grief Observed, Lewis chronicles his journey through the valley of the shadow of death. No longer the detached academic, he writes with the raw vulnerability of a man stripped bare by sorrow. No one ever told me that grief felt so like fear, he confessed. The pain was so acute, the sense of loss so profound, that it shook him to his core. Lewis's wrestling with grief wasn't a crisis of faith, but a deepening of it. He didn't shy away from the hard questions, the anger, the doubt that swirled within him. He railed against God, questioned his goodness, yet kept coming back, drawn by a love that wouldn't let him go. Why is he so present, a commander in our time of prosperity, and so very silent in our days of adversity? He cried out. Yet even in his anguish, Lewis began to see glimmers of understanding. He realized that pain, however unwelcome, had the power to crack open our hearts, to reveal depths we never knew existed. It was in the crucible of his own grief that Lewis discovered a profound truth. God is not indifferent to our suffering. He is not a distant observer watching from afar. Instead, as Lewis poignantly wrote, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. God enters into our suffering. He weeps with us, hurts with us, carries us when we can't carry on. And it's often in those moments of deepest pain that we discover the depths of his love and the strength of his presence. As we've explored through the insights of C.S. Lewis, pain is not an anomaly in the human experience. It is a universal thread that weaves through the tapestry of our lives, touching each of us in different ways and at different times. It's not a sign that God has abandoned us or that our faith is flawed. Rather, it is a profound reminder of our humanity and our need for divine connection. Instead, Lewis challenges us to see pain as a language, a powerful and often unsettling way that God gets our attention. It is a form of communication that transcends words, reaching into the very core of our being. In a world filled with distractions, with our own plans and desires drowning out the divine whisper, pain has a way of breaking through the noise. It forces us to pause, to reflect, and to listen more intently to the whispers of our soul. It strips away our illusions of control, forces us to confront our vulnerability, and pushes us to seek something greater than ourselves. In these moments of vulnerability, we often find a deeper sense of purpose and a clearer understanding of our place in the world. Like a master sculptor, God uses the chisel of suffering to shape us, to refine us, and to reveal the depths of our own strength and resilience. Each blow, each moment of pain, is a step towards becoming the person we are meant to be. This is not to say that pain is something to be sought after or romanticized. It is a harsh reality that we must endure, but it is also a teacher, guiding us towards growth and transformation. It is real, it is raw, and it has the power to leave us feeling broken and lost. Yet, in these moments of brokenness, we often find the strength to rebuild, to heal, and to emerge stronger than before. But, as Lewis discovered in the depths of his own grief, it is often in the breaking that we discover the depths of God's love and the strength of his presence. It is in these moments of profound pain that we are reminded of the enduring power of faith and the unyielding presence of divine love, guiding us through the darkest of times and leading us towards the light. C.S. Lewis's life and writings offer a powerful testament to the transformative power of pain. His journey through personal loss and profound grief has touched countless lives, providing a beacon of light for those navigating their own dark valleys. He doesn't shy away from the difficult questions, the anger, the doubt that can arise in the face of suffering. Instead, he confronts them head-on, offering a raw and honest exploration of the human condition. His words resonate deeply with those who have felt the sting of sorrow and the weight of despair. He meets us in our pain, acknowledging its reality while pointing us towards a hope that transcends our circumstances. Lewis's writings remind us that even in our darkest moments, there is a glimmer of light, a promise of something greater beyond our immediate suffering. In the depths of his own grief, Lewis discovered that God is not a distant observer of our pain. He is intimately involved in our struggles, walking alongside us through every trial and tribulation. This realization brought Lewis a profound sense of peace and comfort, knowing that he was never truly alone. He is a loving Father who enters into our suffering, weeps with us, and carries us when we can't carry on. This image of a compassionate and empathetic God offers solace to those who feel overwhelmed by their circumstances, providing a source of strength and resilience. This is the heart of the Christian message. A God who understands our pain, who has entered into it himself, and who offers us comfort, strength, and ultimately hope that extends beyond the grave. Lewis's reflections on faith and suffering encourage us to look beyond our present trials and to trust in a future where all pain will be redeemed. Even in the darkest of nights, we can find solace in knowing that we are not alone, that our pain has a purpose, and that God can use it to draw us closer to himself. This journey through suffering can become a path to deeper faith, greater empathy, and a more profound understanding of the divine love that sustains us through every storm. C.S. Lewis's journey reminds us that wrestling with pain is a deeply personal and often challenging aspect of the human experience. It's not a sign of weakness to struggle, to question, to cry out in anguish. It's in those raw, honest moments that we often encounter God most profoundly. What are your thoughts on C.S. Lewis's perspective on pain? Have you experienced the transformative power of suffering in your own life? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your voice matters. And if you're interested in delving deeper into the works of C.S. Lewis, be sure to check out my next video, where we'll explore his profound insights on love, faith, and the meaning of life.